that they call sports management. And in this module, we'll be looking at organizing and managing sports events. So in our previous modules, we have been able to address some important topics under our sports management. In the first module, we introduced ourselves to what sports management is. And in the second module, we treated the ethics, that is the do's and don'ts in sports management. In the third module, we looked at managing a football club. Then in the fourth module, we also looked at managing a football academy. So now in this module, we are moving on to organizing and managing sports events. So if we notice the sequence arrangement, we know that we are in one way or the other. We are transitioning, we are moving further in this course. So now we'll be looking at organizing and managing sports events. In this module, we'll be we'll be mainly addressing and analyzing how and enlightening us in different ways that we can organize and manage different sports events, be it locally or globally. So we have the contents of the module to be one. We will look at organizing and managing sports events. We introduce ourselves to that. Then after that, we'll move on to events planning life cycle. So that is the concept to execution, the one step by step movements in events planning. And then we'll move on to budgeting, sponsorship, and marketing for events. How do we budget? How do we get sponsors and marketing for events in sports mainly? So we also look at logistics. That is, we addressing under logistics, we're addressing venue selection, security, and ticketing. So after that, we'll move on to managing a football event. How do we properly and successfully manage a football event? We'll address that. Then we'll also look at different practical steps and case studies in managing football events. So after that, we'll move on to risk management and crisis response. That is and finally, we'll be looking at risk identification and assessment. So that will be that under the contents for this module. We have the introduction to the module to be that in organizing and managing sports events, this involves a complex interplay of planning, just like it has to do with proper planning, coordination, and execution to deliver a memorable and successful experiences for participants. Not only the participants, but also including the spectators and different stakeholders across that has to do with the event. So we have from local community tournaments to global spectacles like the Olympics or World Cup. So this, what we are trying to address is that this topic revolves around organizing sports events locally and even globally at global spectacles like the Olympics or World Cup. So these events require meticulous attention to logistics, which is very essential. Addressing the logistics, the safety, marketing, and financial management throughout the course of the events. So effective organization, it ensures seamless operation, including venue selection, scheduling, equipment procurement, and compliance with regulatory standards. So beyond the operational aspects, sports events management plays a vital role in promoting physical activity, fostering community engagement, and driving economic benefits through tourism and sponsorship, which makes it a dynamic field that blends creativity with strategic precision. So what we are trying to establish here is that organizing and managing sports events, it has to do with proper interplay of planning and coordination and execution to deliver a good and memorable, successful experience of sports experience. Let's put it that way for the participants, not only the participants but also the spectator and even the stakeholders that are in charge of that are mainly financing the organization, the event. So there's a good example that we can put through this is the recent African Cup of Nations that was just concluded in this year. So now let's move on to the organizing and managing sports events. What do we mean by organizing and managing sports events? We have that sports events are organized activities or competitions that is centered around physical exertion and skills, where individuals or teams compete under established rules to determine a winner or showcase athletic performance. Additionally, organizers must address legal requirements such as obtaining permits, insurance coverage, and compliance with governing bodies like the National Sports Federation or international organizations, which could be like FIFA or IOC for specific sports. Ultimately, skilled organizing and managing of sports events not only deliver thrilling experiences but also foster long-term benefits like talent development, tourism boost, and strengthen community ties. So a good example that we can easily, let's just use this recent, the just concluded African Cup of Nations, the AFCON that was played this year. It was mainly hosted by Morocco, but it was organized by the CAF, the Confederation of African Football. The CAF was really applauded for the way they organized the tournaments, the events, the sports events, and this also served as a benefit in which some people became exposed to the culture and the way of life in Morocco, which most Nigerians, let's say Nigerians and South Africans, mostly Nigerians, because they made different videos complimenting the status of the country and even employing that people should come for more for tourism, because the country happens to appear to be very very welcoming and astonishing as a whole. So this is mainly one of the purpose of organizing and managing sports events. It is not just about the sports events alone, but it also serve as but also deliver thrilling experiences, but and also foster long-term benefits like talent development, tourism boost. This is what we are trying to say. We have some players during the course of the AFCON. Some players have been scouted and located by different clubs across the world that are watching the events. They could actually say, okay, this person, this also player's future is good as this. We can actually sign him. We've seen that. Even if they didn't sign him presently because of the transfer window, we have people like that has been shortlisted for the summer transfer window. So now, events planning life cycle, that is the conception to execution. This represents the structured journey from the initial spark of an idea to the final wrap-up of a sports event. It's just like the gradual steps or the journey from the idea of starting or organizing an event to the wrap up and to the final wrap up of sports events. Serve as a blueprint that ensures all aspects are are method, methodically addressed to achieve objectives such as audience engagement, financial success, and operational efficiencies. So now we're looking at the phases of the life cycle. We have different phases when we are talking about events planning life cycle. We have conception phase, we have the planning phase, we have the execution phase, we have the monitoring and control phase, we have the evaluation and closure. This is just a step by step that everyone can easily relate to. The conception phase, this is like it is the initial stage which involves ideation and feasibility studies. Event organizer, they brainstorm the concepts, define objective, they come together to brainstorm and decide. This involves raising funds for charity or showcasing local talents and conduct market research. So we have the planning phase now. The planning phase is the next phase after the conception phase. It has to do with detailed blueprints that are created, including timelines, resource allocation, and team assignments. And the next one is the execution phase. This is where the plan comes to life, just like the name implies. It involves on-site management, real-time adjustments, and coordination of activities. Well, after that, after the execution, we have the monitoring and control phase. So throughout the execution, progress is tracked against KPIs like attendance and budget are there. So this is the monitoring and control phase. The event has kick-started, it has been executed. Now, how the event is going on will be monitored in terms of the statistics, in terms of the turn up, the financial aspects, the attendance, the budget adherence, and all. Is it going according to plan so that they can actually know what to do and to boost the audience and to boost visibility. So now evaluation and closure. This is like the post-event, and this is analyze debriefs, analyze successes and failures through surveys and financial audits. So we have let's move on to budgeting, sponsorship, and marketing for events. How do we budget? How do we secure sponsorship? And how do we market? So budgeting, sponsorship, and this topic form the financial and promotional backbone of sports events, intertwining to secure resources, attract audiences, and generate revenue in an industry where costs can escalate rapidly due to variables like venue rentals and talent fees. The budgeting strategies now. The budgeting starts with categorizing costs. We have fixed and variables. Tools like zero-based budgeting, and it ensures every expense is justified. Like for instance, for the FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar, the budget exceeded $200 billion, covering infrastructure with revenues from broadcasting rights, offsetting costs, and the likes. So after that, we are looking at securing sponsorship. How can we secure sponsorship for events, for sports events? This what do we mean by sponsorship is provide funding in an exchange for exposure. Proposal highlights ROI through metrics like media impression by reaching out, sending proposals to different platforms to support and different countries, mainly the country involved and different companies for sponsorship. Now we have marketing approaches. Marketing mixes digital, that is the social media, SEO, and traditional, which has to do with billboards, TV ads, and channels and the likes. Now let's look at the logistics. Under that will be like venue selection, security, ticketing. So logistics in sports events is encompass the operational intricacies that mainly ensures that there is smooth functionality with venue selection, determining accessibility and ambience. So security safeguarding participants and spectators, and ticketing managing access and revenue streams. They are all interwoven to create seamless experience amid the high stakes environment of live competitions. So let's look at venue selection criteria. Venues are choosing based on capacity, location, facilities, the last facilities like the local rooms, media centers, and cost. Let's take the Tokyo 2020 Olympics selected the national stadium for its 68,000 seats and earthquake resistance design. This is just like an example. We also have the AFCON now. The CAF selected Morocco because of the capacity. I think Morocco have like five standard stadiums with about 70,000 capacity seats for viewers. So this makes it this makes it more easier and accomplishing for the federation, the CAF, that's Confederation of African Football. This makes it more easier. Why the point is that if they try to select players that will make the competition and events more entertaining and more what do we call it more stress free. Yes, more stress free and accomplishing, in the sense that why don't they pick Nigeria for instance? There is no any feasible a standard stadium that we have. We only have, I think, the one in Akwa Ibom, Uyo. Is the only standard one. So it won't make any sense to organize such events while we only have one standard stadium that could occupy people about 70,000 people. So selecting Morocco is just the best idea for the AFCON. Just like let's move on to security measure. This involves risk assessment, crowd control, emergency control, CCTV, metal detectors, and trained personnel. Although we have some kind of loopholes and this thing in the concluded AFCON tournament, where we have fans coming in to the stadium with different items, which could jeopardize the efforts of the Confederation of African Football. So now we have security involves risk assessments, but however we can also give kudos to them in the events that during the final of the tournament, where we have the Senegalese fans and the Moroccan fans having some kind of clash due to towel issue and so the security were able to curb this to some appreciable extent. So this has to do with the level of their security measure that has been prepared for the tournament. So we have ticketing systems. This involves digital platforms like Ticketmaster and do sales with dynamic pricing adjusting based on demand. Anti-scalping tech uses blockchain and all. Now, what do we mean by managing a football event? To manage a football event, it demands a specialized approach that harnesses the global passion for the sport, coordinating elements like match scheduling, fan engagement, and broadcast integration to deliver thrilling experiences that unite communities and drive economic impact. So this focuses on football-specific management due to its unparalleled popularity with over 4 billion fans worldwide, requiring tailored strategies that address unique aspects such as player welfare, referee coordination, and all. So, through case studies and practical steps, we explore how they navigate the complexities of football events, from club level derbies to international tournaments, emphasizing adaptability to variables like team performances and fan rivalries. Now, let's look at the practical steps That is we have the pre-event preparation. In doing this, you define scope, assemble teams, and secure permits for a local tournament. You scout pitches and book referees. This is for a local tournament. You try to you define your scope, assemble the different teams that could accomplish the idea, and secure permits from the necessary venues if possible. Now, stakeholder coordination is the next one. You engage leagues, sponsors, and media. The English Premier League matches involve FA approvals. So on-site management, this has to do with oversee kickoff, halftime, and post-match activities. You use apps for real-time updates. Post-event wrap-up is handle payouts, feedback, and reporting. So in case studies that we have is the FIFA World Cup 2018 Russia. The tournaments manage 64 matches across 11 cities with $6 billion revenue. Practical steps included fan ID systems for security and cultural festivals for engagement. You have the case of the UEFA Euro 2020 multi-country format amid COVID. The steps involved bubble protocols and virtual ticketing. You also have the Burna Boy Football Academy tournament in Lagos. This annual event for 200 youth involving steps like partnering with NFL for officiating and the likes. The challenge that we could face is that we could face in managing a sporting event and organizing and managing a sports event could be match fixing risk, which require integrity officers. Success lies in fan-centric approaches as in a classical global broadcast. Now let's move on to the risk management and crisis response. This has to do with it has to do with safeguarding that identify potential threats, mitigate their impact, and enable swift recovery, and also ensuring the continuity and reputation of events in an unpredictable landscape marked by natural disaster, health crisis, or human errors. This is a good example for this is the I've just been making mention of the AFCON because we have many scenarios and it is fresh that we can easily access and relate to because of the turn up. So now we have in the final we have the case of Senegal and the Moroccans Senegal fans and the Moroccans having clashes and issue. So this has to do with crisis response. The stewards and the security, they were able to respond to that ASAP, as soon as possible, so that they can actually stop or curb the problem or the chaos. And this crisis mainly came from errors from the referees and the players as a whole. So this is crucial because this management and crisis response is very crucial because sports gatherings inherently involve large crowds and high emotions, amplifying risks like stampedes or pandemics and the like. So now let's move on to risk identification and assessment. How do we identify risk and assess it? We have the categorize risk. You categorize risk. The second one is mitigation strategies, while the third one is crisis response protocols. And let's take categorize risk for instance. The rest has to do with the operational, financial, reputational. So it could be equipment failure. You should have been able to categorize. It could be low turnout. It could be scandals. Avoiding use matrices to prioritize based on likelihood and impact. So in the mitigation strategies, you implement both controls like insurance, training, and redundancies. The example for this is for the Boston Marathon bombing 2013. Post-event enhancements included back bans. Now, crisis response protocols. And in doing this, you develop incident command system with clear rules. And example is the COVID-19 impact on Tokyo Olympics. It was actually delayed to 2021 with biobubbles and no spectators at all, showcasing adaptive response. So in conclusion, organizing and managing sports events represents a discipline that demands meticulous planning, strategic foresight, and adaptive execution to transform ideas from impactful realities as evidenced throughout the event life cycle from conception to post-event evaluation. So now from defining objective and securing budgets through sponsorship and innovative marketing. And also digital ticketing and addressing sports-specific challenges like those in football management with practical insights from global spectacles like